Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. This is Tim and Julie Harris, and this is Real Estate Coaching Radio. And we've got a really cool topic that was inspired by a message we received over on Instagram from one of you. We were talking yesterday and the day before, pretty much every day, and how all good things come from listings, specifically if you want more leads, as you know, maybe you want buyer leads, seller leads, all the rest of it. And someone asked us to give them a drilled down, actual, practical, tactical plan to not just take a listing, but how to generate more transactions as a result of the listing. And that question inspired Julie to write this podcast for today. Now, you're going to want Julie's notes, of course. And if you want the notes and you want them urgently to use for your own education, maybe to train your own team, your own brokerage, maybe you're using it for social media, whatever. It's all waiting for you. It's all been created for you. It's over at harrisrealestatedaily.com. And make sure you subscribe over at harrisrealestatedaily.com. It is our daily newsletter that features our podcast, all Julie's notes, and oftentimes some unique content. Speaking of which, those of you who are subscribed to harrisrealestatedaily.com will be receiving, hopefully this week, an invitation to attend a mastermind that Julie and I are going to be doing, probably the end of next week, maybe the week after that. But it's going to be a mastermind we're doing. It's going to probably be 2 hours long. We spent a lot of time researching this, and the topic of the mastermind is how to overcome the 3 biggest challenges that agents are having now. Mastermind doesn't cost you anything to attend, but we're only going to be inviting those of you who are members of the harrisrealestatedaily.com newsletter. It's our way of saying thank you for subscribing. There's over 20,000 of you that are participating in that. And if you want to be invited to join the mastermind, please do go to harrisrealestatedaily.com and subscribe. And then, we're off to the races. And we're doing these masterminds. We're going to probably be doing 1 or maybe 2 per month, probably 1 per month. To make sure you guys stay on target, focused, and realizing that, there are some very specific things you should be doing now to make the most of what we do feel with quite a high level of confidence is the beginning stages of a 25-year generational housing boom. So make sure you have your mind screwed on straight, your head screwed on straight, so you will then know what actions to take, because really things are happening at a faster pace than I anticipated. Julie, what's the top of today's show, by the way? What's the actual name of it?
You must list to last, turn 1 listing into 5 fast.
Right. Before we get to it, I know you and I have been talking all morning about all the real estate headlines. It's really incredible. It definitely seems like we're going to have a much better year by as many as maybe 20% more home sales this year, resale home sales, than we did in the previous year. Thank the housing gods for that. So did you catch any other interesting headlines prior to us starting today's show?
Just continued reporting on more inventory in most areas. Housing starts are up, as we talked about a lot yesterday. And rates came down a bit last Friday. So we're still going in the right direction, rates going down, but up. And as long as those things are about to intersect, as they already have started, that spells more sales. So that's really great.
Perfect time of year. In the previous years, if you guys don't recall, we had lack of inventory and uncertainty about rates at the worst time of year, which would have been now. And then we would see the rates and the inventory start to increase at what traditionally would be the worst time of year, which is sort of after the home buying and selling season towards fall. So we're seeing things actually time out now, ideally. And I think we're going to have probably the best year in at least 3 years industry wide. And maybe we can break this cycle we've had that really has been, I think, what historically would be referred to as a real estate depression. But so we don't get depressed talking about the real estate depression, Julie, let's get on to your first point.
Well, that's right. And just one quick shout out. As I was writing this outline and you were answering some Instagram questions about this topic, I was thinking a lot about this, that many agents rarely actually list property. They're mostly working with buyers. And when they do list, it's almost always repeater referral, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. You want to have as much of that as possible. We talked about that. But it's interesting how frequently we see like the light bulb over the agent's head when it goes off and they go, oh, now like they take a really great listing and they go, now I know why I want to be a listing agent, because lead generation is so much easier when you have even one really great listing. You don't even have to have 5 or 10. A lot of our coaching clients do, but this is where it starts, and you start to become a lead generation machine. That's not something that is all that obvious when you just get your real estate license and you're, gathering a lot of buyers and doing your buyer sides. Agents can go years without having that light bulb go off. So I think this is a really important topic. And we're going to do the 30,000 foot version of this because we do a huge drill down. A lot of Premier coaching is very focused on listings and how to turn each listing, as we say in the title, you must list to last. All veterans will tell you that. Turn one listing into 5 fast. You really can do that. So we're going to give you the overview on today's pod, and then our coaching clients know what to do from there. Make sense?
Right. No, it does. So Julie just said it, right? Make sure you're tuning your, mental frequency into the realization that, if you really want to have leverage in real estate, you can have leverage from a team. You can leverage, passive lead generation. That'll hypothetically create some leverage for you, time leverage anyway. But the best leverage is always going to be a listing agent. And in this market right now is one of the best times, certainly in the last probably 10 years, maybe even more, to become a listing agent, simply for the fact there is so much really expired listings are happening. For rent by owners are listing. You're seeing a lot of FSBOs that are not successful. You're seeing a lot of agents. And this is, unfortunately for our industry, it's the biggest opportunity. The biggest opportunity is being created because the lack of skill that agents have to price things correctly, to get prices, houses repositioned on the market, all the, lower the price, all those types of things. So whenever there's a great, like a chasm, I'll give you guys lots of examples, but one real succinct one is I did have an interesting conversation with someone in our EXP Realty group yesterday. And this is somebody that is already a top producing agent and they wanted to double their sale price. Sounds like a good idea. And they didn't know what to, they had a couple of target neighborhoods they wanted to go after. And we ended up basically focusing on both of them because they were next door to each other. But one of the things that was really fascinating from my perspective was even in one of these neighborhoods that's been there for like 15, 20 years, there was not a clearly established number one agent. There was a whole bunch of agents that would take listings here and there. Whenever you see a marketplace like that, where there is not a clearly defined number, oh, you got to list with Bob. He's the go-to. That's how markets traditionally work, not just for, real estate agents and such, but everything. There'll always be a dominant number one brand. And then there'll be 2 and 3, which are usually doing the same amount, wrapping this back to real estate, usually doing the same amount of volume combined as number one is, right? So in this particular market, this agent was going after, there was no well-established 1, 2, or 3, which is really fascinating. And it got me thinking, I bet you that's true in a lot of your markets across the country. I bet because there's so many agents that have come into the industry since 2007, 2008, who have been told to buy leads, right? That's really what you were told. The first thing when you got your real estate license, how many people told you to go buy a buyer lead, right? That's been normalized. And so there's this huge generation of agents who have never learned how to be listing agents, never realized that all the leverage, all the power comes from being a listing agent. And that's what today's show is about, because we want you to realize that if you decide to be a listing agent, it is just a decision. You will then have to learn skills. You will have to learn how to be a listing agent and all the things that go with it. But the skill set, once you have it, is something it'll easily, you don't, generally speaking, it's resolute. You don't have to update it all the time, maybe market conditions and things like that. But for the most part, it's a process. And also the nice thing about when you're a listing agent is you do have leverage, because you'll have 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 or 30 listings out there. And then when you're not working and you're on nights and weekends, you're on vacation, all the other agents in your MLS are the ones that are out there doing the work, trying to sell your listing for you. So if you want to talk about the ultimate team, it's a system that all of us were blessed to be part of, and that you list a house and all of a sudden all the other thousands of agents in your MLS are effectively trying to help you earn money by selling it to one of their buyers. You guys get it? So conceptually, if you're a listing agent, you do create the ultimate leverage of your time, and you can keep normal business hours. You can work, you can decide whether or not you ever want to work with buyers again. You can choose as to whether or not you want to work on the nights or on the weekends. Maybe you don't. I'm not overselling it. It really is the Shangri-La for most agents, and most agents, they just never give themselves permission to actually embrace what I just said. It's because we're the only ones saying it. Who else says what I just said? Nobody. Because everyone else is trying to seduce you into believing you need this big, complicated real estate system with a 60-point touch system and these complicated CRMs and all these blah, 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 all these widgets. But really, all you really, truly need to do to make the most of your real estate career is say to yourself, I am a listing agent. And then do what that agent did that I was talking to as part of our EXP Realty group. Go and find a market where the sale price is really nice, where there's not a real well-established 1, 2, or 3 agent, and then focus your energies there. The for rent by owners, the expireds, all the things that we teach you in Premier Coaching. So if you guys want to talk more about joining Julie and I at EXP Realty, we strongly encourage you to do so. This is a perfect time of year to look for a brokerage upgrade. Just text me directly at 512-758-0206. If you're ready to move forward with EXP Realty and you have not yet chosen a sponsor, text me directly at 512-758-0206. Or if you have chosen a sponsor and you want Julie and I to be a co-sponsor, that works too. 512-758-0206. If you want to just learn more about our EXP Realty group and why literally thousands of agents are joining with us every year, the link is down below of the show description, whether you're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, it doesn't matter. Just click the link that says whylibertas.com and you can learn more about Julie and I's EXP Realty group. All right, Julie, let's get into it.
Yes. Okay. So how are we going to turn one listing into 5 fast? Again, we're giving you the overview. The drill down lives in Premier Coaching. For example, point number 1, work open houses like a pro. Now, we've done podcasts about open houses. We have a big section and a system in Premier Coaching that takes you step by step. So we're not going to do that on today's pod. I'm just reminding you that on every listing, unless it's in the middle of nowhere or it's something really unusual that's just not appropriate for an open house, you really need to get to the point where every time you do an open house, let's talk, traditional open house in a neighborhood or a building where people want to live and you're going to get some traffic. Okay. Let's just accept that not every single listing is appropriate for an open house, but you
said she meant not in a building. She meant in like a neighborhood, right? A building.
Well, like a condo building can have good open houses if there's not too much security and, all kinds of crazy things you have to do. But the best ones are in traditional neighborhoods. Yes.
So look for the least barriers to entry. That's the number one reason that open houses fail, because there's too many gates to go through, too many passcodes, too many secret handshakes, or the house is buried back in a neighborhood and the people get
lost.
Lack
of signs.
Exactly. Lack of signs. But again, Julie said it right. We're not going to talk too much about that because that's in our open house system, which is part of Premier Coaching. Sorry, Julie.
Yes. But here's another aha moment for agents that don't just, think of this naturally. Some of them, open houses are not just for buyers. Open houses, remember our title, our theme here, how do you turn one listing into 5? They're not just for buyers, they're lead magnets. Show up early, stay late, talk to everyone, find out who they are. Which home in the neighborhood do they have to sell? Where are they coming from? Are they a relocating executive? Have open house scripts. You know where to get them, right? So don't just sit behind your sign-in sheet or watch a football game. A lot of agents say, oh, open houses don't work. It's not that the open house doesn't work. It's that you're not working the open house, if that makes sense. So that's point number 1. And there are some action steps here. Again, for the full list, be a Premier Coaching client.
Jules?
Yes.
I'm going to throw this in there just because it'll motivate them all to do open houses. There's been a lot of research done on how buyers go about choosing the agent that they're going to work with. And I'm going to start out with this fact that's been around forever. Most buyers in particular work with the first agent that they meet. All right. So meet as in an open house, not meet as in digitally meet. And so what happens is the buyers that are driving through an open house, as Julie just said it, are the neighbors trying to get a sense of what their house is worth, or they're the buyers that have already decided that they want to live in that particular neighborhood and they're actively looking for a house. And oftentimes they have not yet actually committed to working with an agent. They might be in a 5-agent CRM drip campaigns, but they haven't actually committed. They're not actually out there working with an agent. Otherwise, the agent would be there with them, showing them the house. There's a script we give you guys. I assume because you're coming to the open house directly, you're not working with another agent. Okay. That's part of our pre-qualification script or open house scripts. You'll learn all of these things to make sure you're not, wasting your time with folks that are already committed to somebody else. And that's fine if they are, God bless them. Right. But the moral of the story is the best buyer leads always are, or seller leads are always the ones coming through open houses. They pre-qualified themselves. They know the neighborhood they want to look in. They probably know the model that they want to live in. If it's a, production neighborhood, they're types
spending
of things.
their afternoon, their weekday afternoon when they're not at work, not with their kids, not at the soccer field, not on a hike. they're looking at houses. That tells you something, right? In most cases, they've gotten to be that serious, and they've kind of self-selected for that neighborhood. So two things, and again, there's a lot more to this, but the two most important things, if you're just having this aha moment, I got to get better at open houses, make sure you get them to sign in. There are a lot of different ways to do this. Now, in some markets, people are weird about using your iPad sign-in app. I think COVID made people weird about touching things for a while. A lot of that's dried up now, but adjust accordingly. And maybe you're not that comfortable with an open house app. That's one way to do it. If you do a sign-in book, don't just do like a legal pad sheet you ripped off. That looks kind of lazy. Do something that's nice, like a nice guest sign-in book. And what happens there is you'll have pages and pages of leads from open houses all living in one place, and it looks more professional. If you have to do the first sign-in to kind of give permission for everybody to follow up and, give their email address, give their phone number, you can do that. And the third way that many of our coaching clients really like is to do a raffle. You can buy little raffle tickets where you fill out your name, your email address, your phone number, and your little raffle sign says you don't have to be present to win. It could be like it could be a Starbucks gift card. You could do several Starbucks gift cards. It could be a really popular restaurant in your town. Best way to do this is to look at your own database. Who in your list actually owns a bakery or a restaurant or something where you can now tie that person into what you're doing in real estate, right? So, and you don't have to just have one person win. The point of it is not so much who's winning. It's about gathering their information so that you then can do the next most important thing, which is following up the same evening. So that's just some basic stuff. Go ahead.
Learn something from your local barista. They have a jar. In the jar, all the people working there will shove it full of $1 bills, $5 bills. Yeah. And they know that if customers walk through and there's nothing in the jar, people don't tip. If there's a bunch of money in the jar, people will throw money in. That's there right. It is. You guys have experienced that yourselves. So remember what Julie's idea with the raffle idea is a really great idea. Especially if you can tie it to a local business, which might be a good source of business for you as well, referrals. Mm-hmm. Look for a business as a retail storefront that you can at the very least put your business cards in, or at the very most put your home brochures in. Anyway, have a clear, something, and then have them fill out a little tag, name, rank, serial number, drop it into the thing, and you're going to do a raffle at the end of the day. Now, everybody wins, by the way. And what you do is you call everyone up, you tell them thank you, don't just put them in your damn CRM. Call them up, thank them for coming to your open house, and then ask them which house in the neighborhood they're thinking about selling. That's the script. Hey, this is Tim Harris with ABC Realty, with DXP Realty. Thank you for coming by our open house today. I really appreciate it and great meeting you. By the way, I forgot to ask you, which house in the neighborhood are you thinking about selling? Right? Now, what are you going to find out? 50% of them probably, depending on the price range of the house you had open, are going to have a house to sell, and you just create a bunch of listing leads. Thus, Julie's point of how to create 5 additional listings from your open houses. This is just touching the surface of the open house plan that we give you guys in Premier Coaching. And Premier Coaching is the next natural step for all of you in your businesses. Join Premier Coaching right now. Click the link below in the show description, or simply go to premiercoaching.com, and you can join Premier Coaching right now for free for the first 30 days. And that does include all access pass, your all access pass to the first level of Premier Coaching, and a daily semi-private coaching call with one of our Harris certified coaches. What do you have to lose? There's no contracts. If you don't like it after 30 days, cancel. It doesn't matter. It's fine. But why wouldn't all of you just instantly say, heck yes, I'm going to join Premier Coaching? Well, guess what? You do. Thousands of you do per year. So go to premiercoaching.com, or simply, click the link below in the show description. Julie, let's get on to point number 2.
Okay. Point number 2, excuse me, door knock with purpose. Knock at least the 10-10-10 plan. That means 10 homes to the left, 10 homes to the right, and 10 across the street at a bare minimum. Many of our coaching clients do the entire neighborhood. Okay. Of my private one-on-one clients, I would say almost 100% of them have more than 30% of their current leads from doing open houses right. I think one of my clients has 12 active leads. I know this because they use our visual whiteboard accountability system, and I see all of their leads all the time, right? She's working with 12 leads. I think there's 7 of them were from different open houses. She's had 3 really great, fantastic open houses that she does all the things in our system. She gets people through the door. She gets them to sign in. She either does the raffle or the guest book sign in. She calls them the same evening. And these are really good quality leads. Every one of them, I think maybe one of them is a relocation person from LA. The rest of them have a home in the neighborhood or the competing neighborhood, and they're just switching. They're either getting on the river or off the river, getting a house with a pool or without a pool, getting something rehabbed or buying something new construction. It's all within maybe a 5-mile radius. That's what you can spin off from your open houses. So do door knock, the 10-10-10 plan at a minimum. Invite neighbors to the open house and let them know the home just hit the market or it's a coming soon. Ask them, who do you know who would love to move to this beautiful neighborhood? And you're going to uncover homeowners who are thinking about moving. Remember our first point. Open houses aren't just to find buyers. Open houses are to create listings as well. So that's your door knocking plan. Back to you, Tim.
No, that's good. And yeah, so again, this is all just more details in the in Premier Coaching. It's also worth mentioning between point 2 and 3, Julie, that they want to do a neighbors only open house. And that's an opportunity for you to go and, literally give them a nice presentation or a nice invitation. You're going to do maybe your public open house. You could do this all in the same day. Maybe the public open house is on, Sunday from noon till 4, and you're going to do the neighbors only open house from 10 till noon. Go and knock the neighbors earlier in that morning. They're all going to be home. And then invite them, give them a nice little invitation. Do it, don't be lazy on any of this stuff, because most of what you're going to find are a lot of those neighbors you're inviting to your neighbors only open house. They probably won't come, but they're going to remember what you did, and you're going to have at least a higher probability of getting an opportunity to list their house, which means you're going to have to know how to list their house, which means you're going to need our listing presentation, our pre-listing pack, and all the rest of it. And that comes with Premier Coaching, all connected. But the moral of the story is this will, if you are off your duff, away from your keyboard, stop wasting time on all this, passive lead generation, and you're out there in these neighborhoods letting people know that you're here to be of service, you will be shocked what comes your way. Julie, let's go to point number 3.
Point number 3, coming soon or just listed campaign. Now, there's different ways to do this. You can do postcards, texts, emails, and of course, calls. Your message is simple. I just listed a home in name of the neighborhood. Make sure you name the neighborhood or the area so that you're very specific and you're that local agent. Curious what yours might be worth? Okay, you're going to use your listing as proof that you're active, you're effective, and you're the neighborhood specialist. I'll give you a quick example. In Northern Virginia, I have a coaching client named and broker named Tammy Irby. Okay, she's had some great success doing calls with coming soons into her over 55 communities. What she has found is that those folks generally are not all over Instagram all day long or going to TikTok. She gets lots of people to pick up the phone, and there's lots of intermoving within those communities. So every time she gets a new listing or coming soon, she's making those calls. And again, you can also do some texting, but you can do some postcards. You want to let the world know that you've got a new listing coming. So that's your just listed, just sold. We get into the weeds on that, of course, in Premier as well.
I'm going to give somebody who's not necessarily wanting to spend the money on this a little bit of a hall pass. Go and canvass the neighborhood and do your own
door knocking round.
Do the door knocking. Don't just do your DoorDash thing where you're going to stick the flyer in the door, then bail. The point is to make contacts. The point is to have conversations with folks. The point is to go out there and introduce yourself, to do the real work of real estate. That's how you actually make money in this business. If you do what everyone else does, it's going to result in what everyone else is experiencing, which last year was 71% of all agents, realtors, members of the National Association of Realtors didn't sell a house. So a lot of people are arguing, well, that accounts for people that are not, full-time in real estate or all these other things.
Not all of them. It's not still all of them. It adds up to 1 million agents who didn't sell a house last year.
Yeah.
Who did at least theoretically pay their dues. So, they're starting out underwater. Okay. Don't be part of that statistic. Point number 4, and I think that you can add some color to this because we're talking about social media here. Use social media strategically. Skip the generic new listing posts and create short, high-energy videos. Use Reels, stories, carousel posts with captions that speak directly to buyers and sellers. Thinking about making a move in 2025? Don't miss this opportunity. Boost the posts if needed, but always track your results. And here's an action step so that you don't overcomplicate this. Just grab your phone and record a simple walkthrough. Point out the best features, right? Talk about the viewer like you're giving talk to the viewer like you're giving a personal showing. Then post it everywhere, your database, YouTube, Instagram, Nextdoor, neighborhood Facebook pages, etc. And then save what we call an Easter egg for the end, a surprise at the end of the video. Make sure you watch till the end. You won't believe the amazing view, the amazing backyard, the barbecue area, the patio, whatever makes that home amazing, save it for the end so they watch the whole thing. And it doesn't have to be very long. It doesn't have to be with a film crew. It doesn't have to be drone, but some of you like it and are good at using drone footage. But send it out, let the world know, because some of those people are also selecting their agent based on what they see and the activity from the different ages in the neighborhood. That should be you.
Yeah, and if you really want to take that idea to the next level, what all of you should be doing, let's go back to the Instagram or our EXP Royalty person that was emailing me about breaking into this upper end market. One of the other suggestions I gave them was that they need to have essentially a private Facebook group, which is just for that particular, let's call it Oakhurst subdivision. So there needs to be an Oakhurst subdivision private neighborhood group. You guys could tie it to WhatsApp or whatever, but you get the point of it. Is make it so that then all the neighbors are going to be able to feel comfortable, go there, and don't make it just about real estate crap, and don't go there and offer CMAs. Make it about the local things that are, stray dog, or, there's the trees are being trimmed, or those types of things. Make it so people feel comfortable, or they can go and post their needs. I've got a problem with my sprinkler system, those types of things. Make it so it's a community place for that particular neighborhood. You don't have to dominate it, but you can go there and essentially help build that list by, pulling in more conversations and making everything very interactive. How do you go about finding the people to invite? We tell you how to do this in Premier Coaching, but it's actually very simple through Facebook. If you don't have a directory or a bunch of local email addresses, normally what you do is you take a bunch of email addresses and you load them into Facebook. Facebook would say, these are the people that have accounts in this neighborhood, which is going to be everybody. And those are going to be the people that get invited to the group. Well, if you don't have that, if you can't get it from a directory, you can then go search profiles for people that are listed themselves or mentioned the fact that they lived in this town, and go about it that way, and you'll build it eventually. But what really happens is once the group has enough following and has enough really critical mass where people are finding value to it, then it just spreads organically. That's what happens. So
It's true. Yeah. The WhatsApp and the Nextdoor are really great for that, because it's not going to cost you anything. And because it grows organically, one person invites the next person and they're related to the group and they invite the next person. And it doesn't take long for you to get to 100+ people.
It is worth mentioning here too, Julie, that it would be a mistake to try to get people to use an app that they're not already familiar with. A lot of people overthink this, become just, they're going to create they're going to use some app that no one's automatically have on their phone. The second you ask someone to download an app, set up an account, and then find your group, it's too many places where you're going to lose them. So everyone's got Facebook, and also demographically speaking, your most valuable customers, the ones most likely to be homeowners age-wise here, are going to be on Facebook. And so when you're doing, back to Julie's idea, when you're trying to think of how am I going to announce my open house, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on this, well, you could just do a live open house feed. You could do you walking through the neighborhood, inviting people to your open house, and constantly be pumping that little short, impromptu video to the group that you created inside Facebook. That's how you guys really will build a reputation of people that, like, it always goes back to the same thing, right? So if someone's wanting to hire a roofer, what are they going to do? They're going to ask themselves, who do I know that's a roofer that I've used in the past that I'll feel comfortable using again? And if there isn't somebody that fits the bill, then they're going to ask for a referral from a trusted friend or advisor. Well, if you're the one that's created this social ecosystem for this particular neighborhood, you are somehow going to fall into one of those two buckets where virtually everyone makes their decisions, right? Think about what I just said. And it's been studied different ways, but effectively 90% of everyone makes the decision who they're going to use based on who they've used in the past. This is true for real estate agents. Yep. Or referral from a trusted friend or advisor, and less than 10% will respond strictly from an ad. You don't respond strictly from ads when you're looking to hire a service professional. You follow that same pattern as well. So understanding that and accepting it, leverage it. All right, Julie, let's move on to point number 6.
5. That's okay.
Oh, 5. Yeah.
Practice furiously fast follow-up. The fortune is always in the follow-up. After the open house, after the door knocking, after the social media buzz, follow up. Use texts, calls. Calling is always superior. And quick videos in some cases could be appropriate. Maybe they're curious about something they saw in the house and they wanted you to zoom in and they want to see the office better or whatever. Ask questions, provide value, and most importantly, set appointments. Expect to set new appointments, and you will. If you in your head are saying, this stuff doesn't work, I tried it, back in, 1999 and it never worked for me. Well, you have just decided that it's not working. But when you do what we ask you to do using the scripts and the systems and the protocols that we have proven, not just because we did it and we did do it, but because all of our coaching clients have results from doing it, that's different. So when you are doing your follow-up, first of all, furiously fast is the theme here. Do it the same day, at the very latest the next day if it gets late in your open house. But use follow-up scripts. Expect to set appointments. Expect to get listing leads from your open houses. Make sure you have our pre-qualification scripts. Again, you'll get those in Premier Coaching. It's okay to close on an appointment before the real appointment. I think this is a really important point when you're doing these follow-ups, especially with people you don't really know as a friend or a past client. Set appointments to view their homes, suggest staging, go over recent comps. You can have a lighter appointment. Just because it's not time for a serious listing appointment doesn't mean you shouldn't go over there and get to know them. So get to know them, create a strategic follow-up plan. Maybe it's 6 months from now that they want to move, but now they're bonding to you because of Tim's previous point. People will transact with the first agent they came across. Now, I would add something to that though. People will transact with the first agent they came across who did a good job and followed up with them, who provided value. Otherwise, they're going to do maybe the second agent they come across in that open house across the street.
Okay, so here's the bottom line rule. Furiously fast lead follow-up works only when you call or you meet with them in person. It does not work when you do anything digital. Sorry. Texting is probably the second best to actually having a conversation with them, but only if the text leads to a conversation. Do not make the mistake of simply meeting someone and dropping them into your CRM and hoping your CRM is going to have all the sales. Yes, don't do that. It's just dumb. Call them back right away, pre-qualify them, find out what their motivation is, and look for all the ones that are ready to transact, which you have to decide what the, I would personally not go past 4 months. If someone's not going to transact within 4 months or less, if they don't already have, haven't correctly answered all the pre-qualification questions that you're going to learn to ask them, then you can put them in a CRM if you want, but it's largely a waste of time. And when it comes to sellers, make sure you're motivating, obviously, for pre-qualifying them for their motivation as far as their time frame to get the property sold. This is all the things. These are all the things that if once you master these, you're going to have an endless supply of really very motivated leads. The war, the battle, the game is not won with the person with the most number of contacts. It's made with the most number of people, the most number, and by most number, I mean not really that many, of actual pre-qualified leads. The best agents in the world are the ones with the least number of leads. You guys are assuming a contact is a lead. A lead is someone who their name, their contact information, and what their motivation is, their time frames, whether they've been financed, all the things. All the things we give you in Premier Coaching. A contact is what you just basically met someone in an open house and you drop them in your CRM and you say, I have a lead. You don't have a lead. That's just a contact. You would have been better off if you just, downloaded a bunch of phone numbers and names off the internet, and just dropped them into a CRM and hope for the best. Do you guys get the difference? Do you get the difference in what Julie and I, are doing our best to help you to understand the intensity of the practical, tactical nature, the no BS nature of what we bring to our coaching program? If you guys love this podcast, which I know you do, you're going to adore Premier Coaching. You know what to do. Join Premier Coaching. The link is below. Julie, I'm running up against another podcast, so let's maybe get through we'll skip
number 6, and we're just going to lightly go into 7 because, again, you get a lot in Premier Coaching, and we've done dedicated podcasts to point number 7. We like to call this lovingly hot rod your real estate sign. We've talked about using 1-800-HOME hotline as a great, super inexpensive, practically free lead generator. You can get more information on that. And this is in the show description as well, 1-800-HOMEhotline.com. And in, your action step, we teach you a lot of strategies. This is, just our podcast. We're just giving you a sprinkling of how to turn one listing into 5 fast. All you have to do is go to, when you're a Premier Coaching client, they'll tell you this. When they go to their daily semi-private coaching sessions, they hear from each other, here's what happened in my open house. Or here's, I did this strategy. I've been using 800-HOME hotline, and you're not going to believe the results. It's not just because we say so, and also because we did this. We actually sold real estate for a living at a high level. It's because you help each other on those daily sessions, and all of our Harris certified coaches are also selling. We don't have retired coaches. We don't have people that were hired because they were in sales at some, they sold cell phones and now they think they can coach. We don't do that, right? So don't just take our word for it. Do these things, these strategies. And I would challenge you, anybody who has any reasonably good open house, traditional neighborhood, popular, not hard to get to, this weekend, just do one or two of the things we talked about on today's podcast. You'll get hooked, because assuming that you do, well, I shouldn't say one or two, because you have to do the follow-up part, assuming that you got people in the door, right? You'll be hooked. I have one coaching client has more than 50% of their business they can track to open houses so far this year. Okay. And you were talking about a contact is not the same as a lead. They don't have tons and tons of even contacts, but they have really curated leads who are setting appointments and are transactional. So I think that's the pod. You can get the rest of the notes in the newsletter, and certainly in Premier Coaching.
So point 6 and 8, you want to know what those are? They're waiting for you over the newsletter. Go to harrisrealestatedaily.com. In the meantime, thank you for listening today. Thank you for keeping this number one daily listen to podcast for real estate agents in at least the United States. It is our pleasure and it's our honor to be able to do these shows for you every single day. This podcast, as hard as we do try, is just skimming the surface of what you learn in Premier Coaching. So your homework from today's show and every show is go to premiercoaching.com. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.